What's going on, guys? It's Picsoleated, and today we're looking at something that might shock some of you, it might intrigue more of you, some of you might go, what the fudge am I looking at? But one thing is for sure. We're all gonna agree that ninjas definitely wore these. Now, I haven't had much experience with these either. They're a super rare occurrence even with Nike, but shoes like this do exist. And some of you might even be familiar with this design. We're talking about the Nike ISPA Drifter Split. Now, this shoe's special not just because it was part of Nike's ISPA collection that also had the Overreact sneakers and the Overreact sandals that had those extremely cushy midsoles, but because it has the tabi style split toe design. Now, this is the fifth and final release from Nike's ISPA Fall 2020 lineup. We previously had the Overreact sneaker, we had the Overreact sandal, we had the ISPA Road Warrior that shared the tabi style split toe design with this shoe. Finally, we had my least favorite of the collection, the ISPA Flow 2020. The sneaker released in the beginning of the month on September 1st, 2020. It retailed for $200 US and 260 Canadian dollars here in Canada. It's a little pricey, but it's also super futuristic. It's got a lot of tech packed into it, so there's a good reason for that price. Now, before we get into all the good and juicy stuff, feel free to hit the like button if you enjoy the video at any point, hit the subscribe button to support the channel, and hit the noti bell to join Noti Gang and so you don't miss out on future content. Now, the good news is these shoes aren't sold out at all. I bought my pair off Nike's website several days after release. You can still get them there. You can get them other places too, I guess, if they have them. A quick thing to note, if you're in Canada, once you order off Nike Canada though, it ships from Europe, so it will take a while before it gets to you. This took maybe a week and a half to get to me. This is something I already knew, but I thought I'd just share it with you in case it's your first time ordering from Nike Canada. Don't expect it to come within like 2 or 3 days. Now, while this shoe does take inspiration and is a nod to the Nike Air Rift, which released in 1996 with a similar tabi style split toe, the history of the tabi style split toe shoes and work boots spans much further historically, beginning in Asia, more specifically in Japan. The not so common split toe design is in contrast extremely popular and actually commonplace in Japan. Its history spans centuries all the way back to the 15th century in Japan as Japanese workforce shoes. This design was thought of to promote balance and a clear mind through some sort of holistic reflexology through the separation of the big toe, and that's the most I'm gonna get into it because that's far above my pay grade. I don't even know what half of that meant. Tabi first started out as socks, which worked out perfectly because one would wear them with the thonged sandals you'd see all over the place at the time. The colors of tabi socks were also initially limited by class. Royalty wore purple and gold, samurai wore any colors other than purple and gold, and the commoners wore exclusively blue. I don't know if this played a part in Nike's decision to release these shoes in just a gray and a black colorway in order not to disrespect the history of this class-based color system, or if it's just more of a universal color, but it's intriguing to know nonetheless. Eventually, they started adding rubber soles around the 1900s, which made the tabi style socks more into shoes. These are known as jigatabi and are still worn as workers' shoes to this day. And if you really think about it, a lot of those sock runners and shoes with foot-hugging sock-like uppers we got from the last few years, like the Balenciaga sock trainer and the NMD City sock, could be directly attributed to this style of sneaker. I thought I'd give you a very condensed bit of history on where tabi started and why it's so important for us to know the purpose and history behind the unique and really eye-catching design choice like the tabi split toe. If you want to get more into it, go ahead and dig deeper and do some research. There is a lot more where that came from. And now that we've covered that, let's get into the materials. The upper of the shoe is made of a handful of lightweight, less traditional materials, with the majority of the upper being made with this thin, lightweight fabric that has the grid pattern running across it. I'm not sure the exact name of this material. I've called it ripstop in the past. Just know when you see the grid pattern running through it, it's usually super durable, and the way this material feels, I can tell this shoe has the same durable property. We've got polka dots on part of the shoe's upper. Not entirely sure why they chose this design. I'm not a fan of polka dots, but considering they blend in with the upper of the shoe, I'm not really bothered by them here, especially since they are used very sparingly and are smaller than the typical polka dots. We've got a cinched, heavily reinforced lacing system. You can see almost 2 extra layers of additional reinforcement on the eyelets. I honestly have no doubt that these shoes will last a long time. We've got thin speckled laces. In addition to the regular laces, we have this draw cord system running through the tongue, around the top of the ankle, looping through the material, and parts of it are overlaid with these suede patches. There's just so much going on here. I'm not even sure if I'm using the system correctly, but in order to tighten, you just pull the draw cord while holding the little plastic bit, and it also has a hook at the end so you can hook it onto the laces once you've pulled it completely so it doesn't flail around aimlessly. We've got the theme of the dots continuing with a dot at the bottom of the eyelets and one on the heel. The heel is reinforced with some sort of fuse and a TPU heel cup just above the midsole. We have these nylon straps running across the sides and sort of creating that thong style design by wrapping over each side of the tabi toe. I feel like this is kind of a callback to the origins of this design when tabi socks were worn with thong sandals, so that's really cool. The split tabi toes have a hexagonal grid pattern overlay which is different than the rest of the shoe and are made of a softer material with some cushioning for your toes. The lateral side of the toe box has a black Nike swoosh stitched in. Now while this shoe is very futuristic and innovative, it also pushes the sneaker world in the right direction by being more sustainable. We have a very light and spongy midsole that houses reground exposed ZoomX foam. That means this was leftover ZoomX foam that would have under normal circumstances been considered a wasted part of the production process and would have been thrown out, ending up at some landfill somewhere, but now it's been used to make this shoe, and it is comfortable. Finally, we have this really cool rubber outsole with a translucent portion underneath to show off the ZoomX foam. And of course, you can't wear these shoes without tabi socks, so thankfully these shoes come with a pair of tabi socks with ISPA and Nike branding for you to start off or continue your tabi sock collection. When it comes to sizing, for this shoe I went with my true size and it fits perfectly. Personally, I'd recommend going your true size in these. There's no real reason for you not to unless you have extremely wide feet. I have wide feet and these fit fine though. I'm a true to size 10 and I got these in a size 10 and I'd recommend you get the same for yourself as well. I mean your true size, not size 10. Unless you're size 10, then get the size 10. When it comes to comfort, these shoes are a double-edged sword. Don't get me wrong, they're an extremely comfortable pair of sneakers. The cushioning is exceptional, the upper is breathable and durable at the same time, and it fits great with a nice lockdown. Having the split toe design actually increases the ground feel with these shoes. I feel like I have more control over my movements and can make more sudden movements with ease. It just overall feels more natural, and considering this is my first real experience with tabi style shoes, I gotta say, I'm thoroughly impressed. I do have one big concern though, and I know I'm going to confirm a few people's suspicions here, and it sucks that it has to be like this. But after wearing them for a while, the split toe design did start getting a little uncomfortable on my toe. Now this might be because this is the first time I wore them and my feet were still getting used to this unique design. Maybe in future wears I won't feel it anymore, and honestly, if you're considering getting these, I'd urge you to practice that same precaution and wear them 2 or 3 times for prolonged periods to see if your toe gets used to it. Some of you might not even feel it, maybe it's just me. It's not a big discomfort, but when you're wearing these shoes, you don't want to deal with anything that's going to cause more strain on your foot. That defeats the purpose of comfortable shoes. Otherwise, these shoes feel like no other, and I'd love to wear them on a consistent basis if wearing them does resolve that minor discomfort over time. Looks wise, these shoes look incredible. I love the way they look on feet. Off feet they look a little deflated and maybe not as attractive, but on feet they look incredible. Hopefully that on foot gave you a good idea. If you want these shoes, just search them up and you should be able to find them pretty easily. The ISPA Drifter Split will definitely turn heads. It's gonna give you a smooth and comfortable ride. You'll get a better ground feel because of that tabi style split toe design, and all should be gravy as long as that slight toe discomfort subsides, as I was mentioning earlier. Did Nike create a banger with these shoes, or are they going in the wrong direction with the tabi split toe design? Let me know in the comments. I'll catch you later. Picsoleated is a drifter.